So yeah, again, they have some scary stuff, but this is why we chose to play units over removal. You know, your removal might be blanked on something. This card is dead. We have one dead card in our hand already. But Steward of the Past, never going to be dead. It's going to be a 3/5 at its worst. And when it's a 3/5 deadly, we don't care if their units have Aegis, right? Or whatever. It's going to trade with them. But this is not really the kind of hand I want to see here. Felon Bloodcaster, uncastable Wisdom. Not ideal. We do not want to be stumbling on our power. We really want to draw either a Felon Stranger here or a Banner or... Yeah, Varus Favor is not going to do it. We actually want to save that to pop Aegis in this matchup, I think. Plus I can already cast Bloodcaster. Yeah, so this is not an ideal start for us. This hand is equipped to go long at least, but yeah, this is rough. And they're not stumbling on power, like, just crazy. Yeah, this is rough. We don't have double primal, the two cards that cost double primal. Not a good start to the tournament for us. Let's see if the top of our deck can cooperate here, but it's going to be a rough one to pull out of. They're not playing... They are playing 3 Finest Hour, 3 Protect, and... Jeez, just so many spells. Ugh, that's rough. Alright, well, we got the Vanquish, so we might be able to ride this Midnight Gale to victory, but in the meantime, we are not doing anything. Yeah, this card is just dead. Holding it up is pointless. I feel like I almost would rather get this power out of my hand just to... Yeah, I'm just going to do it. Popping Aegis isn't even like that important in this matchup. So yeah, not a good start. Like I said, sometimes you have to draw the right threats in the right order, and we did not. But this can turn around if we can cast this Midnight Gale and they don't have an answer to it. Like, we can win a race conceivably. Yeah, so you know, I don't think I'm supposed to cast Sabo there. I think I need to be patient. Might be a little tough to work into a curve, but whatever. I mean, we had a 5 sigil draw. Those can happen. They're unlikely, but they can happen. All right. Well, there's the Seek. So now what we do? We whiff on Sabo. Play the Sigil. We play the Gale. I might have to block with it. I don't want to. They have nothing but units in hand that cost, 4 or more. And ooh-wee, Amoxin, thank you so much for resubscribing again. 3 months in a row. Appreciate that. Like, I could say this life gain is important, but honestly, just blocking something will also gain me 4+ life. They would have had to draw the Finest Hour here, which is possible, but I think I just need to trade with units and hope this Wisdom digs us out. And I think I'm better off trading with the Awakened Student than these. These will always be smaller than a Steward of the Past until they get equipped. This can actually just straight up trade with it once they do find power. Well, better late than never, Mr. Stranger, I suppose. Again, I don't think there's a point in popping these Aegis. The 1 damage may be more important. Like, that may be true. I definitely want to use it here so I can play both of these. And that actually gives me double blocks on these. I do have Permafrost. Alright, it's relevant enough. I have Permafrost in my deck. Alright. It's a little awkward. Oh, there's a pause. Oh, they have Desert Marshal? Okay. So they'll silence this. And now we're going to have a weird question if they attack with these again. Do we want to double block or not? They haven't had Deep Forge played up to this point. It'd be kind of weird if they drew one, but it's possible. They would have had to draw it on their last draw step. Alright, Combrei Healer, so I can't double block it. So options here are double block this and take a lot of damage. Or bounce, trade, make Champion of Cunning worse. But I take less damage. And maybe I can draw something good. Because this could trade with a Copperall Elite once this gets buffed. The problem being I'm taking a lot of damage in the meantime. Like I'm essentially saying I'm not blocking with this turn. That's not a huge fan of that idea. I think we just do it this way. I have to look at my possible lines going forward. Okay. So even if they have a Desert Marshal, at least we got that one buff in, so this blocks here cleanly and this blocks here cleanly. The problem being Desert Marshal still kills us because that'll be 6 damage that comes through. They have to see that Ace Base kills me, and they do because they're not a terrible player. So we're dead. I shouldn't say they're not a terrible player. Like, that's a very good player could still miss that line, right? Oh well. So we stumbled a bit and lost. It happens. We'll just have to win this the hard way, or we go into the 0-1 bracket. Whichever happens, happens, right? So we're definitely going up to 4 Sabos. Their whole deck is combat tricks and spells to back up their units. It's basically like we're looking in a mirror in terms of what we're trying to do. Nightmaul Sight Unseen is fascinating, but I think it's too slow. There is a possibility that we get into a real ground stall, though. They can bring in a Vanquish. I doubt they bring in Stand Together. Rise, Reality, Warden, those don't matter. Slow, Ruin, Protect, Finest Hour. Yeah, they probably just bring in extra... I don't know if they bring in Protect or not. Let's see. Anyways, let's start trimming. Black Sky Harbingers could actually be good just because it's life gain and flying. I just don't think I want any of this clunky stuff. I guess we're not playing Annihilate, so that's easy. I guess we'll play some Death Strikes, even though they're really expensive. Backlash can kind of help me counteract their combat tricks, but it's also really ties up my power in spots. I just don't know if I think I just want to jam so many units that eventually one of them sticks and gets through. So it might be a thing where we just cut the Backlashes and the Wisdoms. Maybe the Wisdoms aren't that good here. Like, we're just trying to win the board, and Wisdom doesn't do that. The Backlash can be really important, but I mainly want Backlash for... Yeah. I think we're just going to deal with whatever's in their hand and go from there. Yeah. I just think it'll end up being too clunky most of the time. If I want to be strong in the memes, I could cut a Wisdom for a Nightmaul and then lose because of it. It's tempting. It's tempting. I mean, the way their deck's set up... Like, they've got a bunch of Knight Chancellor, Seraphs, and Combrei. Alright. We're not really built to get to... Well, we can get to 7. This was just a deck I wasn't prepared for, and this is why I went with a mid-range strategy where if all else fails, we have units that can attack and win the game, right? But there, our power betrayed us. Again, I am playing quite a bit more Shadow than Primal. We're going to get some of those hands where I don't have a banner. I'm not playing Diplo Seals in this list just because I think hitting enough influence is important. But yeah, the hands where we don't have a banner, a seat, or a Fountain Stranger can get extremely awkward. What is this called? Combrei Red or something? Alright. Did he say he was ready? Alright. So let's see if we can do the reverse sweep here. We're down a game. Just got to steal 2 more somehow. At least we got to cut all of our Annihilates. Permafrost isn't that good in this matchup, but it's better than I think our other options, so... No, we'll pass on that one. Ugh, God, our deck is just being rude right now. And we're on the play? Oh, jeez. Well, if we draw... Yeah, if we draw a banner or a seat, we're in good shape, I guess. These cards aren't that good in the matchup either. But this is not really what we want to see. This is not what we want to see. Like, just because we're a two-faction deck does not mean our power lines up well. Because I'm going to be tight on power, I'm really tempted to just sabotage now. This is going to be hard to fit this in, like if at any point I draw power. Although, to be fair, if I draw a seat or a banner, I still can't play any of these cards. And if I draw a Shadow Sigil... Yeah, alright. I'm actually going to wait on this Sabo. We have no guarantee that any of these threats are, like, that important. Alright, well now I'm going to sabotage. Wow, they brought in Stand Together. That's fascinating. I was not expecting that. I think we do take this just because this game's going to go long. The Finest Hour is easier for them to fit into spots. But... like, that's an actual board stall breaker. I really wanted to hit a Deep Forge Plate. Like, that's what I wanted to hit. Oh, well. Now if we draw any Shadow Source, though, I can play Midnight Gale, and the coast is clear for it. So. No, that is not what I said. I didn't say I wanted to draw a Midnight Gale. Wow, we're going to have 2 straight games where we lose because our power is going to bonus over in a 2-faction deck. Jeez. Well, that's variance for you. That's a real shame. You can still turn this around. This card is that powerful. Alright. And now, even if we like draw power, I can't play 2 threats a turn because I have all my 3-drops. Oh well, we're not under a ton of pressure yet. But they're curving out, and we have not been curving out. But yeah, we're just going to try and get these Midnight Gales to stick and start racing. We know they have a Finest Hour. There's 2 unknown cards in hand. Looks like it's not a Torch. Could be a Vanquish. Could be a Jack. A Jack here would be rough. But yeah, we don't have a great answer to Jack. Jack lines up really well against our deck, too. But maybe they're just flooding and we can turn this around. God, I can't believe we had 2 straight games where we haven't drawn a banner yet. That's kind of insane. Again, we know they have Finest Hour. I'm not going to block yet. I'm going to have to block at some point and get this Finest Hour out of their hand. But not with my first Gale. I think this is too important. They have a Desert Marshal? Okay. No? I'm going to play another Gale. It's got to be a Desert Marshal. Okay. We're going to get really low here. Okay. Not the power we wanted to draw, but the power we did draw. Huh, more pauses. That's probably just the Finest Hour. Alright, well, they don't have a Sigil in hand. They could still have power in hand, it's just not a Sigil. And now we just hope this Midnight Gale can get there while they don't find an answer to it. These are far away from being good, but they're still 5/5s for 5. I don't think that's better than playing a 2/5 and a 3/3, but it could be. We're a little low, though. It's risky business. Alright, so if they have double Finest Hour, we get... actually, even 1 Finest Hour is bad for us, right? Because this is only 6 damage, they'd become 7. So... based on future double blocks... yeah, we'll just do this. This doesn't force them to use Finest Hour, where this would. But I'm actually okay with not forcing them to use Finest Hour, because eventually we can just get enough blocks where Finest Hour doesn't save it. So I'm okay with this. Basically, if this pattern holds, we're going to win this game, right? So they're still kind of forced to do action here. We're going to have to deal with that Finest Hour at some point. We're okay with that. All right, they found Vanquish. Permafrost. Can't swing with this unless I Frost here, but I don't see the point in doing that. Let's go Bloodcaster Instigator. And now if we just start drawing power and get one of these going, like we're favored on the board stall. But we're at 7 with an Instigator in play, which blows. Like our deal... Alright, that's not bad. Is there a reason to Permafrost here? If I Permafrost here, I could swing with this. That's really risky, but we kind of have to take risks at some point. But I need to turn this around. I'm going to get Champion down next turn. I have this double block or block. It means Torch and Finest Hours are outs, though. Well, unless I do block. But I think... I still Permafrost. I don't know if I swing. The swing might not be relevant enough with Champion of Chaos on a stalled board. It's just with this in play, it's just so dangerous having any thing die. But I think Permafrosting this is still somewhat useful on this turn. Alright. I have to start swinging at some point. I haven't figured out what point that is. Or which unit to swing with. Probably this one. Well, those are dangerous. I actually probably swing with this champ too. Let's see, that would leave me 3 units back at 7. They'd have to double block this. Yeah, alright. I think I do need to swing with this. If I can get them to run out of units here, like, it's going to be hard for us to lose. If not, we hit them for 12. And that can set up, like, lethal swings next turn. Alright, yeah, getting this off the board's big. Basically, because they have, like, Deep Forge Plate in their deck, like, these could break out at any moment and kill me, so I need to be, like, prepared for that. And, like, actually keep up the pressure. This does fly, but the ticking on me is a concern. Because now any 2 of these units that get through is lethal. Alright, Jack is a big swing here. Let me see here. Let me do some math. Definitely playing this. So if I ace space, they have to block with everything. What happens if I play Instigator? Then I end up taking more pings than I want to, so that's no good. Right? They have to block 2, no matter what. Right. Unless they drew a spell, but I'm not playing around that. And I don't think it's correct to draw pre-combat. Maybe it is, because Permafrost isn't out, but I've already used 2. I'm trying to think, let's see. If I play Impending Doom, I go to 4, and I play an Instigator. What's the significance of going to 4? Only 1 blocker. This doubles up the Instigator triggers, which could be bad. I think I just play the Doom to have the flyer. Even though I'm going to have 3 other units. Because playing this means I could double block something off a plate, but I'd still die. Because 2 of my units would die and I'd get double triggered. I guess there's no downside to... I don't know. I was probably supposed to play it. Alright, we got there. I would say our opponent flooded slightly, but we drew almost as much power as them, and we were also having our own power issues. Whew! Alright, so that went well. We just kept playing units. We may have drawn them in the wrong order and didn't quite play them when we wanted to. But we got there. Again, I don't think there's much to change up. I don't think there's a whole lot to change up here. We have dead cards, we cut them. And we're just playing the other cards we want to play. Hopefully we can actually cast our units when we want to at some point, though. But yeah, as you saw there, traditionally, like, Fountain Control would have a problem answering Copper Elites. There, we just had 2 5s that blocked them. Like, we didn't even draw our best card in the matchup, which I think is Steward of the Past. Like, Steward of the Past can give them real headaches. Alright, we got 1 more to go. We'll tied up 1-1. They're probably making some slight adjustments. Again, I was a little surprised that they brought in Stand Together. I'm not sure if I would have identified that as an important card in this matchup. I took it just because our hand was so slow, they would have had opportunities to use it in that game. So in the context of that game, I wanted to take Stand Together out of their hand over Finest Hour, but I think generally it's not going to be like super great. Like when I actually am presenting a threat every turn, it's going to be real hard for them to take a turn to hold up power and present Stand Together. Like, it's only going to be really good when I'm already stumbling or whatever. I'm going to keep in Night Maul. So, whatever. Oh, they get the play, and geez. We were definitely drawing power every turn. This hand would actually be tempting, right? We get a Primal Sigil, a Shadow Sigil, and play Found Stranger. We can cast every spell in our deck, provided we keep drawing power. So that was a better hand than every other hand we've had so far. And this hand is probably better than the other hands we got stuck with. But if I'm going to have a 6-power Champion of Cunning hand, I really want Banners and Seats in my hand. And again, another game with no banners and seats, and I really don't want to draw a banner or a seat here. Really don't want that to happen. I think we go for the Rush Shadow Sigil plan again. Ugh, we can't even cast this on 3. Wow, we are just getting flooded with sigil. Like, I wouldn't mind being flooded with banners and seats, because then our Champion of Cunning and Midnight Gale, when they come down on turn, will be giving me buffs. That's not happening here. That is not what's happening here. We're just going to be... I don't know what this is. This is... these have been rather anomalous games, to say the least. Like, our opponent's stumbling and not doing anything. They have a Torch or a Protect in hand. Yeah, these games have not been how we drew up this deck. But what can you do? Good news is, even when we stumbled in the last game, we managed to pull out a win. This one, we might be able to again. Who knows? But this card is like just going to be miserably bad. I'm going to go with the Doom here. It uses our power more efficiently. It doesn't die to Torch, which they may or may not have. Again, it could be Protect. It could be Finest Hour. We don't know. Yeah, it eats a Vanquish. So does this. I legitimately may just play a Naked Champion of Cunning on my next turn. Like that may be correct. Just trying to overload their Vanquishes. Well, we've got 2 Harbingers, so if you're flooding, that's not a bad spot to be. Like, it would have been kind of nice to go... Yeah, see, it's because now they're using, like, silences on this. This is still now a 5/5. Like, cool beans, right? So these were nice draws, I'll give that. Like, these are the kind of draws I want when we have a hand like that. Permafrost. This is an interesting attack, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to play Harbinger. It could clean this up. It could not. We'll find out. If they use Stand Together here to save this, we'd be, like, super stoked. I'm still not going to swing with this. I'm just still not going to do it. I am probably going to permafrost this next turn, though, and then swing. That might be a better permafrost target. You don't say. I'm going to permafrost this at some point. I might as well do it now. Again, we don't know if it's Protect or Finest Hour or Torch. It could be any of those. Might be Protect. Still not sweet with this. Maybe I should be more aggressive with it. They still can't double block it. Alright, well there's another silence down. Looks like they're going to torch it. I was just trying to get all of these silences out of their hand so that Night Maul will be Night Maul. They have 2 silences left in their deck. So this is going to get torched. No, it's not. They don't have Torch. They don't have Finest Hour. It's Protect? Really? You wouldn't protect this? We're going to keep waiting on Night Maul now. Because Midnight Gale Deathstrike is probably better than Night Maul here. Jack. That's another silence. And I'm going to Death Strike this. Let's see if that's a Protect. They've been that patient on it. Impressive stuff. Alright. Well, time to race a Jack, I suppose. Is it better to play Midnight Gale or Night Maul? Night Maul can actually block this. Although I doubt it would block this. So. Now they're in a bind. I don't think they can deal 24 extra damage. Alright. Well, those hands weren't pretty. They still got there. That is the beauty of playing mid-range decks. As long as you can cast your spells, once you draw them, you can cast them. And that's what that game was, right? So, those opening hands were not pretty. But those top decks weren't bad at all. They weren't bad at all. Night Maw, I don't know if he was the key to that victory, but it was pretty sweet. Swiggity swooty swag right there. Let me report this one. Then I'll check out chat.